back to another iteration of Frankly Speaking. Here we are in July, a little bit later in the month than usual, but bringing some news. It feels like it's been a long time since we caught up.
It has been. There's been a lot going on, a lot of decisions made. Here we are in power trading, appropriately probably given the subject today.
Yeah, to talk a bit about the BPA product choice. But before we get into that, here we are kind of halfway through summer, and I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite summer sport?
Favorite summer sport would be, at this point, it's paddleboarding. Through time, it's changed. Golf, tennis, paddleboarding, almost anything outdoors. I really enjoy hot weather. For part of my adult life, lived in 110-degree summers, and so really enjoy just being outside mostly.
Yeah. Well, I think we all do enjoy that a fair bit at this time of year. But let's get into the meat of the topic today. So, since we last talked, there was not one but two meetings of the board. One was a work session. One was a regular meeting. And at both of these, they talked about our choice for which Bonneville Power Administration product to take. And there's been a couple changes since we caught up on that. We switched from leaning towards load following product to block width shaping. So can you just take us through what happened with that switch and where are we now?
Yeah, I think ultimately we wanted to land on a decision that gave us a lot of flexibility going forward. We've done a lot of work through the years, and if you really just think about the work that's been done in a number of different departments, we're sitting here in power trading, very informative part of that process, power planning, the customer group, even operations. There's a lot of departments and people that have contributed to it. And it goes back many years, actually. Some of the initial discussions from Bonneville started in the 2018, 2019 region of time. We started doing some of our own studies around electrification impacts and other things in the early 2021 kind of time frame. And so it's really evolved, and it's been a journey, and a lot of people have contributed to it. As we started getting into more of the contract details, the negotiations with Bonneville, not just EWEB, but all the other customers, we started to look at what our top options were. And it started with really all the four options that Bonneville was offering, and we narrowed it down to two. And one of them was called load following, the other was block with shaping. And we originally leaned a little bit more toward the load following option because we wanted to really leverage the federal system, particularly the at-cost portion of the federal system for both energy and capacity. Energy being sort of your average kilowatt hours, capacity being your ability to meet peaks. But as we looked at that, and that our initial leaning was in May, we started to get into it a little bit more, understand more about the contract details, and understand more about the operational impacts of it, and how we would be managing our own resources as well as the Bonneville piece. We eventually landed on the fact that it would give us more flexibility in the future to go with block with shaping. In particular, what drove that was not just kind of where we are today with our load, but when you look at the fact that we do anticipate load growth over time, the block with shaping product really gives us more opportunities to control our own destiny. And so that was a big piece of that. And that's where the board landed. So we made our recommendation to the board at the July board meeting, and they approved the resolution to pursue the contract with Bonneville consistent with that direction. And so feel good about that milestone. At the same time, as much as it feels like the end of a process, for us it's really the beginning of a process. And so we'll continue to work and finalize that contract between now and the end of the year. And that contract will take effect in 2028.
It's the closing of one chapter and the opening of another, potentially a longer chapter.
Certainly, yeah.
And so for, how is this going to, this product, how is it different than what we're doing today with Bonneville?
Yeah, today we have what's called a block slice product. There's variability in the federal system when it comes to the water availability, the shaping. This gives us kind of the ability to shape the actual energy throughout a month. So it's a little bit different from managing the variabilities of water versus the energy and how that's delivered at different times. There's a lot of flexibility in there within some certain side rails. And then it also gives us the ability to really, I'll say in the long term, pursue our strategy of really trying to maximize the amount of alignment we have between our supply side and our demand side. And I think part of the premise there is that the better we can do at aligning those two things, the more value ultimately we're going to add to our community. So it's more aligned with the strategy that takes place with that.
Yeah, so with that strategy of aligning supply and demand for customers, are they going to see impacts directly from this product choice once it is implemented?
Yeah, I think they would see impacts independent of which product choice we have. This one really facilitates the importance of having customer programs that allow them to be part of that solution. It's kind of, we want, it's a little bit along the lines of help us help you.
Yeah.
And so things like time of use, demand response, some of these customer programs that really deal with the recognition that energy is cleaner and more or less expensive depending on when you're using it really matters. And so I feel like this is a really good combination of a product that aligns with that approach. At the same time, mitigates some of the risk associated with just managing water itself. So I think it's a really good combination for us.
Yeah, so when you think about this next move, I mean, there's a lot of benefits and a lot of details to it. What element of it, what specific element is most exciting for you?
I think the most exciting thing for me is that it's the combination of leveraging a federal resource that we're blessed with. Mm-hmm. So on one side, the Northwest has access to a really clean energy source at cost. So there's that combination, but also it builds in some flexibility for us to really work with our customers. Mm. And the thing I'm most excited about going forward is this relationship between the supply side of what we're getting and supplying to the customer with how you're using it and how you can help us. And so that alignment is probably what's most exciting to me. And the fact that it's up to us to make it work. And I think that's an important part of the decision, was recognizing that this puts some pressure on us to do that well, and I think we will.
I'm confident of that too, and maybe we can just tease a little bit some future things that are happening here at EWEB. You've been working on this business management system and this EWEB strategic compass, which I assume these are tools that will help us, execute on all these big initiatives. For just a little preview, what is this? And we can talk more about it next time, but just a little preview.
Yeah, I think if you look at organizations of any really relevant size, and you were 500 to 600 people, you have to find ways for the organization to align itself, to be able to prioritize, and not just in the moment, because a lot of the things we do are longer term. Mm-hmm. We deal with 20-year plans, for example, in some of the work we do, our capital improvement plans and our power resource planning and some of these other things. And so things have to align both in the immediate. So how does today's work align with things we want to accomplish 3, 5, 10 years from now? And so having a system that allows you to do that over time in particular and be able to sustain that is really one of the goals of having a business management type of system. The business management system is not just about planning and the strategic compass, how do things build toward the future, but it also recognizes that you have operational needs today, and the fact that we have to continue to maintain and improve our operations. A big portion of our organization is about operations, the delivery of services right now, here and now. So it's a balance on how you approach that. And the goal is to do it in a way that we can continually improve on and sustain and build and build over time, and there'll be more to come on that over the next few months as we start to use that process to move from this, here's the long-term view, into here's what we need to work on today, and these are the goals we have for today. So it's a way to align that. It's really important for the organization.
Yeah, and more to come. So, as always, our final question here. So, what's a team or an individual that you want to give some kudos to for their work in the last month or so?
Well, there's a lot of groups. I think we happen to be here in power trading, so I think that group and how they manage our resources. Not just a few months ahead, but also in the moment. The prices occur hourly, so they're dealing with changes in market and keeping up with our operations and balancing our resources on an hourly basis. So certainly this group while we're here, but also the generation group has been going through some big important decisions associated with the fulfillment of our license at Carmen Smith. There's been a lot of big decisions going on with Leeburg and how we're approaching the decommissioning of Leeburg. At the same time, you have Walterville, which is still has some opportunity we think and we hope for, but there's also some challenges associated with dam safety, particularly at the forebay, and so we're trying to wrestle through that and FERC and all the requirements they have. So. Power trading would be one group, and then the other group is just reaching out and saying thank you to the generation team for all of your persistence, your hard work, your patience, all that combination of things as we navigate a really hard environment there too. So I want to thank those groups.
Well, thank you, Frank, and until next time, when we'll see you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.